Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
We can't all live forever, but we sure can live in the moment. Many choose to serve their country, many choose to create and build things. Some choose to enlighten others, and some more choose to spend their time living in the moment, driving as fast as they can, trying to leave their competition wondering why they didn't choose one of the aforementioned career paths. For John Stanley Unsbee, it was the latter, starting in the, at the time, unpopular quarter midgets in the 50s, then graduating to his beloved Mini Coopers in the late 1960s. Tonight, we honor, we remember, we pay homage to the racer born in Illinois and taken from us just over 1 month ago. Welcome, race fans, to the virtual Watkins Glen International. Emerson Arden joins me on the mic this evening with Trey Shuttlesworth on our social media duties, and this is PitStop TV's live coverage of the SRCA IndyPro 2000 John Unsbee Memorial. As we know, you have many choices to meet your sim racing viewing needs. We thank you for choosing to spend your time this evening with us on our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. We join you tonight from the mecca of North American road racing, the high-speed New York hillsides that have provided high-quality racing for quite the assortment of motorsport disciplines for the past 65 years, making it the perfect venue for tonight's memorial race. Just over 3.3, just under 3.4 miles of pavement lie before us, Emerson, and while I'm not exactly certain whether or not John raced here at Watkins Glen, I can tell you John certainly had a heck of a career, again, most notably in a Mini Cooper that he and his family owned and operated alongside of his brother, Randy Unsbee. And I've been doing a lot of reading today, checking into John Unsbee's career, his life, and this is certainly a privilege to be able to bring this race to everybody watching this evening and just, again, pay homage, pay honor, and remember a great race car driver.
I couldn't have said it better myself. So thankful that SRCA decided to choose us for, to bring this race with, the great importance it has to these drivers and potentially some of you out there watching as well, that we're able to put this, on display for, those that need it, those that want it, and those, that are here to remember John Unsbee.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Usually we come into these broadcasts, we just want to get as hyped up as we possibly can. This is a little bit different this evening. A bit of a melancholy tone, if you will. Just a bit, I don't even know the word, just a bit down, maybe? Certainly not down. I mean, this is remembering a great race car driver and honoring his past, his time in racing, and I think a celebration, of course, anytime you remember anybody like this, it's just, again, an honor to be able to bring you, as we see a bunch of electric yellow Indy pros on the backstretch here at Watkins Glen, bring you guys a great race this evening, remembering a great guy. And somebody who was on the iRacing.com service for a long time. It's not like John Unsbee is some guy that just, I don't know, raced a little bit in the 60s and 70s, passed away, nobody knew about him even today. No, John Unsbee made an impact on a lot of people. Again, he was on the iRacing.com service, I think, for the better part of 10 years at least. And a lot of people will remember John Unsbee as a fantastic guy, as with the SRCA Sim Racers Club of America. Before we go too much further, Emerson, let's brighten things up a little bit. Let's take a look quickly at the Watkins Glen International and the layout we're running on tonight. We're running the classic boot layout. You can see no backstretch chicane. That's why we saw Everett Paddock, who's currently in the 51 car that we're watching, skip that portion of the racetrack earlier. Just go straight into the carousel and then observe the boot portion with the toe and the heel and back onto the rest of the normal course that everybody else should be familiar with. It's about 3.4 miles, about 5.5 kilometers, somewhere in there, and it should give us some great racing this evening.
Yeah, this is, different. Without the back straightaway chicane, you eliminate a passing zone, but it adds so much more importance to getting through the carousel and potentially sets you up for turn 6, which could be more of a passing zone now because you're carrying so much speed into turn 5. I mean, it really changes the game up if you're used to that bus stop chicane, and if you're not, then this is just going to be a fun race. The S is where you get all that speed from, but they're so bumpy on this version of Watkins Glen. Well, the only version we have available to us on iRacing, that could, these very light, very small cars, that's going to be something to watch out for as well.
Cars are headed to the speedway to take their qualifying times, and we've got some images that you may have seen throughout our preview of the evening that you can take a look at and kind of learn a little bit about who John Unsbee was. Again, he first saw Mini Coopers racing at Mosport in Canada in 1967. He was there, I believe, with his father and his brother, and it was a support race for Formula One that weekend, among other series, I do believe, but a support race for Formula One back in 1967, and he noticed that there was this green Mini Cooper, this green shoebox as he called it, was bringing some serious heat to a couple of Mustangs and a couple of Camaros, and certainly giving them a run for their money, and actually raced up to the race lead at one point, didn't quite finish first, but finished second place, and since then, as he put it in his own words, enamored with the Mini Cooper, and knew he had to race one. Didn't know when it would be, but someday I'm going to do that. That's what he said. John Unsbee, again, made an impact on so many, both in obviously physical racing as well as iRacing, and lived a long life, a lot of great racing, and tonight we take a moment to remember him. So again, qualifying underway this evening. These drivers getting up to speed and putting some times down at the Watkins Glen International. And you know what? I think this is a great place, a great, specifically, configuration of Watkins Glen to race on. It is, of course, the classic boot configuration, an older configuration here of Watkins Glen. Should give us some nice kind of throwback racing, maybe. Should be a lot of fun. You'll notice a lot of the electric yellow cars out there. That's because, well, the Mini Coopers that John raced were electric yellow for his sponsor. I believe it was owned, if not by their father, one of their friends' fathers in Illinois back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and they always kept their race cars electric yellow as a result. And in fact, I was reading up on these guys earlier, and specifically Randy Unsbee was giving a recount of, when he bought his first car, his first Mini Cooper, between the 1971 and 1972 seasons. It was originally blue and white, but as soon as they could repaint it, they did repaint it, and of course immediately painted it that electric yellow to match the rest of the team, and it was on from there, and they just always kept their race cars that electric yellow when they could. I mentioned they got their start in quarter midgets in the 50s. They were a big part of bringing quarter midgets, I think, into popularity, especially in the Midwest. The quarter midget, of course, a just smaller scale of the already popular midget racing vehicle that was being piloted out in California and such, and they really helped bring the quarter midget to the Midwest, to Illinois, Indiana specifically, and that was just the Unsbee's start to racing, and from then on, actually one of the stories that was mentioned was that their father had to bug a local farmer for almost a year in order to just get the car built, and I don't know, there's a whole lot of stories if you go out there and check into John Unsbee, a whole lot of different stories you can check into, and a lot to read up on, a lot to learn about the Unsbee family.
Yeah, the dedication he had to racing, just from hearing and reading up on this is insane. This is a person who truly found passion in motorsport, and him and his family, they did everything they could to follow through with their dreams, their passions, and to get to the point where they can really relish in their passion.
We just watched Cole Fralick Bennett out of the carousel, headed through the short chute into the boot. He was fastest. Now we have a new driver that's fastest on the speed charts. As again, qualifying underway. About 5 minutes left here, Emerson. Let's pick the tone up a little bit. Of course, remembering John Unsbee, we want this to be a celebration, of course. Let's pick the tone up a little bit. Let's talk about qualifying. The 51-15, they sit atop the scoring pylon. Paddock on top. Then it's Fralick. Then it's Bennett. John Morgan in fourth. Ian Wilson in fifth. It looks like we got Jason Padu in the 6th position. Falkingham, Caressel, Mercier, Lintz, Ford, Gracia, Ray, and Garmond trying to put times down as we speak. They've got a few more minutes to do so. And as per usual, it's just good to be here. It's nice to be covering this race.
For sure. Loving, the open wheel content back on, PitStop TV. Kind of miss it a little bit. You can, I guess, count dirt racing open wheel. It is technically open wheel, but this is, truly some great open wheel racing we get to cover with SRCA. Glad to have them back on here. And times are coming across the line. We're riding on board with Paddock, who's top of the charts. I think Falkham's going to cross the line, put up a time, who's gone second quickest. Paddock even faster. My goodness, I think maybe Falkingham might have had pull for a second, but Paddock right there just, swiping it from him.
Yeah, these guys just trying to one-up one another. We're on board currently with Everett Paddock as he runs through the S's here at Watkins Glen. Falkingham's actually out ahead of him, and very, very similar on pace. In fact, just over 1/100th of a second between the two drivers. A little further back, here's John Morgan, who is in one of the tribute paint schemes. I don't recall who painted this car, but it is available on Trading Paints, and a shout-out to whoever that painter was. Again, I don't recall who got this paint together, but there's been an outpouring of support for John Unsbee and the Unsbee family following his passing on February 1st, 2021. I think it's really cool to see the sim racing community just come together like this. And of course, there's plenty of things I think that could easily separate the sim racing community, but this is something that has brought a lot of guys right back together, and is just helping them remember a great guy on the sim. And in the case of this paint scheme, in the case of this race, and this is not the only race that's happened as a result to honor John Unsbee, but everybody just doing their best to remember somebody that was a great friend, a great sim racer, and continue a legacy.
Yeah, I think the biggest part to me is seeing, like you alluded to, one of the paint schemes, but all these, electric yellow paint schemes. It really is quite the display we have tonight, and it's going to look cool going down that backstretch.
Absolutely. A lot of bad, fast race cars that look even faster because of their paints. And, man, these guys continuing to one-up one another. I don't think Paddock is close enough to draw a draft. Oh, he might be, actually. Yeah, I think given the 3/10, he's close enough to draw a little bit of a slipstream off of Falkingham. So we might see Paddock continue to go faster. In fact, you can see that that tribute decal up on the nose of Everett's race car with that, of course, signature yellow Mini Cooper. And I want to show this slideshow one more time. I want to show some of these images, specifically in the collage that we have. You can see a bunch of different iterations of that Mini Cooper, the red rims on there when he's taking that checkered flag, the black hood later on, and there he is with his Mini Cooper. I'm not sure of the dates of any of these, the locations or anything like that, but certainly was a lot of fun and very interesting to go back through a lot of photos, a lot of recounts of just racing back in the early 70s in those quarter midgets and these Mini Coopers, and it's actually been a really cool experience, honestly, to research somebody like this for a broadcast like this. Certainly, again, a big privilege. Before we, I guess, conclude qualifying here this evening, I do want to, as per usual, give a big shout out to our partners here at PitStop TV before we get into the race, and those, of course, being Tucson Sound Art, where your picture is your music. Use promo code PitStopTV for 10% off of your order today. Go to TucsonSoundArt.com. And by Race Pace. Go to that Discord link down at the bottom right, put that into your Discord client, and you can connect to the Race Pace Setup server, where they are not only a donation-driven setup shop, but also a coaching service, a driver coaching service. And they will work with you to make sure you get faster and you pick up pace before your next race. Look up Race Pace Setups by using that Discord link at the bottom right, and check them out. Tyler Campbell will get you taken care of. These broadcasts also brought to you by Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine. Go to permanentmakeupinmaine.com for more information, and by our official camera and graphic provider, Whiplash Media. You can go to www.whiplash-media.com for more information. Qualifying running out, and Emerson, we're about to go racing. These guys are actually going to have about 2.5 minutes to get their laps in, but I don't expect too much to change, if I'm being honest. Here is that pole sitter still of Everett Paddock. It looks like we're going to have 14 cars in attendance this evening. Daniel Falkingham is now behind Paddock. Maybe he can try and get some speed off that 51 car.
Yeah, we have Travis Bennett also working his way through turns 11 and turn 10 and 11, and we can I mean, he's up there. We can see this board flip around as he comes to the line. The 58 is going to cross Ferris, and the 95 looks like he will stay put. So it's going to come down to Falkingham and Paddock for this pole.
And there is Bennett pulling off, so it really just comes down to the 51 and the 20. It looks like Falkingham might be just a little bit too far back, but certainly going to give things a shot before we finish things up. In the last minute and a half or so, we're going to take one step back away. We'll be right back to you momentarily with race coverage here of the John Unsbee Memorial at Watkins Glen International. This is the SRCA IndyPro 2000 Series on PitStop TV. And Falkingham, before we leave, is going to take pole honors. Falkingham with a big pole time. We'll be right back to you momentarily on PitStop TV.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Welcome back to Watkins Glen International race coverage about to start. We're going to roll down the starting grid this evening, beginning with pole sitter Daniel Falkingham on top. He gets it in the final seconds over Everett Paddock, who is now going to start second place. Rolling off third for the John Unsbee Memorial, it's going to be Travis Bennett, then John Morgan in the 177. Rolling off fourth, he's picked up a lot of pace since we last covered SRCA, pretty apparently. Starting fifth this evening, the 15 car, Cole Freilich with Elijah Drew Gracia to his, what should be the left side as they take the green flag in a few moments. Starting from the 7th position in row number 4, it's Thomas Garnand in the number 90, then Ian Wilson to his outside. And the final row of the top 10, row number 5, Jason Padu in the 64 car, and Nicholas Caressel in the 30.
Fall back to row 6, we'll find Spencer Ray and Tom Mercier. And in the final row, it'll be Justin Ford and Alejandro Lintz. All 14 of these drivers turning up in in remembrance of John Unsbee, and it's going to be a fun night tonight.
That it is. Again, certainly racing with a purpose this evening, and that purpose to honor and remember a race car driver that helped pioneer the quarter midgets in the Midwest, but also helped the dominance of the Mini Cooper in SCCA in the late 60s and early 70s alongside his brother and many others. And I mean, they carried some serious dominance in SCCA national events until the later 70s when Datsuns took over. But John Unsbee, Randy Unsbee, just the Unsbee family in general, certainly had things figured out there in the early 1970s, and specifically remembering, once again, John Unsbee, who unfortunately passed on February 1st, 2021, and being remembered by so many in the iRacing community and so many in the racing community in general. Those that knew him loved him, and those that didn't know him can tell just from recounts of other people that he was a loved man, and certainly played a big role in many people's lives.
You know, I wish I could ask him. I wonder how relevant the pick of Watkins Glen was with him being so active on iRacing and getting the chance to drive, all these circuits and all these cars. What was his favorite car and track combination? And I don't know if the coordination of this event knew anything about that, but how cool would that be?
And John did race here in the SRCA, the Sim Racers Club of America, between their Pro Mazda series, their IndyCar series. He did race. Unfortunately, I don't believe that he was on any races that we covered in our stint with the SRCA, but he did race in SRCA, and that is why this league is putting on this event this evening, remembering him, remembering a great guy. Born in Illinois in 1947, had a great racing career in Mini Coopers, as I said, throughout so many years in SCCA national touring events, and unfortunately once more passed on in the beginning of February of 2021. But hey, it's March 11th, 2021. We're able to sit back, we're able to remember a hell of a guy, and have some great racing this evening. It's time to focus in on that. We are just a couple of corners away from turning these IndyPro 2000s loose here at the Watkins Glen International Classic boot layout. Again, Daniel Falkingham on pole, then it's Everett Paddock in second. Bennett, Morgan, Freilich to make up your top 5 coming to the green flag. The army of electric yellow IndyPro 2000s looks like just over half the field adorning that electric yellow. And we are about to go green flag racing from the Watkins Glen International Classic boot layout. Emerson Arden, so happy to have you alongside with Trey Shellsworth on our social media coverage. Green flag waiting. We're just waiting on the signal from the flag stand.
Green flag.
And the field is off and away. Down the backstretch for the first time at pace. We've got 4 cars under a blanket up front of the field. 2 by 2 they go down to the carousel for the first time. Emerson side by side are the top 4. And ooh, I think that was Bennett up towards the top of the carousel. Falkingham going to emerge the race leader.
Yeah, through the first, I guess we're coming up to 3/4 of a lap of racing. There was no, clear driver that was going to break away from this group. Falkingham, as soon as we got into the boot, though, he started to leg up the competition. Cole Freilich got the second, and a big moment for Cole Freilich. What a catch!
That was an amazing save there from Cole, hanging on to things just barely. If you didn't notice at the top left of your screen, a 61-minute race, paying homage once more to John Unsbee, who raced 61, the number 61, since his quarter midget days in the 50s. Just kept that number along for the ride, and ooh, a battle for 3rd and 4th, now sparking between Freilich and Bennett once more. 5th place can be Morgan in that electric yellow 177. It's going to be tough to pick apart those guys that are all running the same paint scheme back there, but certainly running a great paint scheme nonetheless. Coming around to complete lap number 1, Falkingham the race leader, and he's off and away by over a second through just 1 lap.
Yeah, the point you make about the paint schemes, I was actually going to bring up pretty much the same thing. If it wasn't for timing and scoring, man, we'd have a hard time.
I think we're still going to have a hard time picking these cars apart this evening, but hey, they look great, and you know what? It gives us an extra little dynamic to work with this evening. Looking at 3rd and 4th, Freilich defending over Bennett. This is through the final S here at Watkins Glen, and down towards, well, not the inner loop, not the bus stop. They're racing straight to the carousel. Will Bennett go for it up the inside? No. He's going to sit back and allow Freilich to hold that position for now, but I don't think Bennett's going to wait for long.
Yeah, I mean, they were side by side on the opening lap, and I mean, Freilich, he was working hard to work his way up to second, and had his moment, had to catch the car, is back behind Paddock, so I don't truly know where Freilich, I guess, ranks amongst these guys. I mean, obviously third on the time it's going. Another big moment. My God,
oh, no!
Around goes Freilich!
Cole Freilich, big problems. This is lap number 2, and it looks like his car, boy, that's junk. His car is not going to be able to continue. He's got a lot of damage.
Oh, goodness. You hate to see it on lap 2 of a race of this caliber, this nature. But, I mean, Freilich, doing everything he can to put on a show, and, a show he put on for his, first lap and 3/4 with catching the grass there on the exit of the toe of the boot, and around she went.
Gonna see if we can't find a better way to show you what's gone on here for Cole Freilich in the number 15. This is going to be a little bit tough, but we're certainly going to give it our best. And through the trees there's a red 15. There it is, and we're zoomed pretty well in to see what happens up out of the toe. And here we go. Oh, clips grass on the outside. He was bobbling loose on the inside and then washed out to the outside of the racetrack, caught grass, and there he goes along for the ride. Big problems for Cole Freilich, and that's going to do it for the driver of the number 15. I dare say he's maybe not done for the evening, but certainly well out of this one as it pertains to the race win.
Yeah, we have the opportunity for full course yellows if there's 3 or more cars involved in an accident. With this size of a field, it's highly unlikely, but it's not impossible. I mean, there's grass and guardrail on both sides of this high speed track. So I mean, anything's possible. The S's can get clogged. Really, any of these places can get clogged, and that can happen. And if that happens, Freilich, depending on how long his toe is, and if there's a fast repair or any of that, he should be able to get right back up there, right back in it, right back up there, and we should be talking some more about Cole Freilich should all that happen. But enough with the should and could happen. There's still a battle here for third. It's still Travis Bennett, but now he's trying to fend off John Morgan.
John Morgan here in the 177, starting to put some pressure onto Travis Bennett for the 3rd spot. Looking on from the left side of Morgan's car, you can see that 95 up ahead, And hey, look at that. Falkingham and Paddock right back to their draft battles. They're going at it once more, but they are separated by a second. These two separated by much, much less. Let's look at the gap from Morgan up to Bennett, and it is about 3 to 4 tenths of a second. And with this slipstream, with this draft in the backstretch through the S's, oh boy, it's going to get close into the carousel.
Yeah, here we go. This is where you let all those horses rip, let them run wide open. Look at that slipstream. He's going to slingshot to the right side. They're going to be side by side into the carousel.
Morgan up the inside takes that third place away rather easily, and Bennett going to have to settle for fourth place currently. Elijah Grassi is behind these guys. He's kind of settled into his own little pocket, but the driver behind him has company, and that is Thomas Garland, who has Ian Wilson and Spencer Ray all over the back of him. On board here with the 6-car Spencer Ray as he tries to work up to the 58 of Ian Wilson. I will say, Ian Wilson, he's also picked up a lot of pace since we last covered the SRCA, and it's good to see that driver development. We may not have been here for it. It's been a while since we've covered these guys, but boy, Ian Wilson, John Morgan, they've picked things up.
Yeah, it is. You know, it's refreshing. It's nice to see, some of the names we didn't really talk about when we were covering SRCA to see them up here and have the chance for us to really give them their time to shine, because all of these drivers they're talented in their own ways and respects, but now we get to showcase that a little bit. And wow, these cars, I mean, they are flying. I can't believe they stick like that through turn 10.
And through 11, Spencer was looking to make a move possibly on the 58 of Wilson. He's got to wait, couldn't quite make the move, and now Caressel on the back end of the 6 car. The 6 of Spencer looks to the inside, thinks better of it, will stay in behind. So Spencer Ray starting to look for a way by. He's certainly trying to get by Ian Wilson right now, and through the S's, he's right back all over the gearbox of the 58 car.
Yeah, up the hill through the S's, I think maybe Spencer might be best fit. No, he's going to go for it now. I was going to say wait until, the straightaway. I mean, he did wait till the straightaway. They're going to be side by side, and can Nick Caressel do anything right behind all this?
Caressel thought about it for a second. Ray kind of leaned over, and Spencer closed the door. So Caressel now going to have to wait for an opportunity to get by Ian Wilson himself, and Caressel is even starting to look a little bit impatient. He wants on by. We're just about 8 minutes into this one, not even 10 minutes into this one, guys. And boy, they're starting to get a little bit racy. Certainly very, very calm, and they need to be. But they're starting to get a little bit more and more racy. Up in the front, we've seen some purple lap times from these two as they're now nose to tail. Daniel Falkingham with Everett Paddock close behind. And we're used to Daniel Falkingham being really, really good here in SRCA. Everett Paddock, a new name, and he is certainly bringing the fight to the 20 car. Want to mention the weather for this evening's event. 77-degree air temperature, about 106 in the racetrack. That's a pretty warm temperature for this pavement here in New York.
That would explain a little bit of the slide we can see from some of these cars, or at least, give some of these drivers an excuse for the sliding. But I mean, wow, it is. I mean, Falkingham had over a second advantage, so to see Paddock just chop that right down in half, and you could say it's slipstream driven, but he had to get there first, and he's there.
Yeah, Paddock is not letting Falkingham get away any kind of quickly. In fact, he's drafting right back up to the gearbox to the 20. You see Falkingham laying over right. He wants to protect that inside for the carousel, but that if they stay side by side through the carousel, that's going to give Paddock the better line into turn number 6. Side by side, Falkingham going to take the spot back away. I think Paddock just wants to sit back, and he wants to take that spot away, but he doesn't want to race side by side just yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's 51 and a half minutes left. We haven't even, we just eclipsed 10 minutes in this race, but still, I mean, oh goodness, what was I saying? Beautiful defense from Daniel Falkingham. I mean, he wasn't, blocking all over the track or anything. He just, held his line the inside, and I think Paddock even saw that, like, it just wasn't going to happen easily. Don't want to, put that car in an unfavorable position, and Falkingham was able to fend him off into the carousel and held him all the way through the boot.
I'm watching now from the right side, the right rear portion kind of Daniel Falkingham's machine as that yellow 51 gets a little bit smaller in behind, and Falkingham starting to try and drive back away. I just don't think he's going to be able to with that slipstream. I think Everett Paddock certainly in a great position to keep hanging on to the 20 car for the time being. And as per usual, I expect a pit stop out of these guys for sure. If not one, then possibly even two. I certainly expect some pitting to come into play this evening and to shake this race up. I believe we have a 61% fuel limit as well. I'm not sure what that equates to as far as laps they can run, but I think that'll certainly be a factor.
Yeah, I can't say 61 is, a fuel limit most series or any series used for that matter. So, I mean, I love the uniqueness of that. I just don't know what effect it will have on the fuel tanks of these cars, but I don't know. I mean, I'm for sure looking forward to one stop and see if these top two pit on the same lap, or if they pit on different laps, will they still come out near each other?
Just watching them follow the New York hillsides we talked about a little while ago. Up now, the toe of the boot, and just keeping on one another. There's a couple of battles actually brewing further back. One is actually for the 8th position, as Caressel has worked on by Ian Wilson. Ian Wilson not letting that 30 car drive away just yet. Spencer Ray has actually driven up to and past the 90, however, of Thomas Garland. So the 6 car certainly has some speed. He's now into position number 6, and Spencer Ray on the move.
Yes, Spencer Ray. He had to work his way up from, the bottom of the grid, so already up to the middle of the grid. Good on him, and, there's still a lot of time to go. He looked at started 11th. He's, been as high as, 7th across the line, but that means he just got 6th this lap. And, I mean, look at him work his way up. We'll have Elijah Gracia up next if he can close down that 2.5 second margin, or 2.5 second deficit he has to the 14.
And Spencer's still just trying to work his way around here as quickly as he possibly can, but it's a bit of a gap for him to make up, as you kind of alluded to there. And I don't know, with Thomas Garland still so close, I don't think we're going to see a change just yet for 5th position. However, we are seeing a change for the race lead, possibly, as Paddock worked around the outside once more, kind of the same move we saw earlier, but Falkingham protects the inside and then kind of comes up and clears himself off the nose of the 51 car of Paddock, and these two get right back single file. You saw their names switch atop the scoring pylon momentarily, but right back to where they were before, and Falkingham continues to lead.
Man, Paddock, he really, I think it proves to just how tough it is to pass because of how high speed this track is. He was sitting at about 2 or 3 tenths behind Falkingham pretty much from this point of the last lap, and didn't have the opportunity to make the overtake, even though you have the chance in the 1. He just really didn't have it all set up until he got the exit out of the S as they went side by side into the carousel. And I don't think it was intentional, but Falkingham came right up in front of Paddock, and that could have been dangerous in these open wheel cars.
Staying very close to one another, Paddock and Falkingham. And, I mean, this is a great new battle. We used to see Falkingham sometimes just route these SRCA fields. I don't know what it is about Daniel, but sometimes a road course just clicks with him, sometimes it doesn't. And the times that it does click, usually he just pulls out and away and puts on a great show for himself. This time, Paddock able to hang with him. I love this new dynamic that we've got the 20 and 51 battling nose to tail and throwing big draft moves on one another, trying to, well, obviously get themselves into that top spot, or if you're Falkingham, keep that top spot. Things mixing up a little further back, Ian Wilson back around Caressel, but a fight for the race lead once more, side by side down to the carousel.
Something must have happened to Nick Caressel, but they stay side by side around the outside. Can Paddock hold on?
Whoa!
Oh, they make contact! Oh, no!
Paddock hung on to it. That was a great job out of Everett to hang on to that race car. And we've got a couple of replays then to take a look at. Let's first watch this contact once more with Falkingham and Paddock. And this is in the carousel. And you'll see it right there. The slightest bit of contact. Wow, the job to stay off of that Armco on the outside of the corner. That's incredible. That is amazing stuff out of the 51 of Everett Paddock. Meanwhile, there was this incident with Nicholas Caressel out of Georgia. He's had a problem, it looks like, out of the S's. He was racing Ian Wilson, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not out of the S's. That's
Wow.
much earlier.
Yeah, that's just a lot of speed through turn 1, and I think something had just happened to Garland as well. So this track, I think it's a track temp, and in coupled with running 15 minutes already on these tires and pushing these tires to their extents, that these tires are really finding the limits to the grip these tires can provide.
Looking to see if anything else happened here for Caressels. He gets passed up. No, it looks like everything else is pretty normal. He said something happened with Garland in the last few moments, so we'll take a look back and see what happens, and it's going to be out of the toe where we saw Cole Frelick's issue.
Yeah, riding on board of Garland here, trying to get
And it's
the maximum exit.
It's the exact same thing. Thankfully, though, locks are down and doesn't hit anything. It looks like he even keeps those front tires clean of grass. How about that from Thomas Garland? That's a really good save.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point of the track where you're still turning very hard to the right to try to make the corner, obviously, but you're trying to push those tires to the extent to get as much speed as you can. That's a straightaway. That is a nice well, not long, but it's a nice little short shoot, and it means a lot to lap time in your battle and trying to get as much speed as you can through the toe. And I can't believe he didn't nose it into a barrier like he said. That is crazy.
Starting to see a new battle brew, as Elijah Gracia has caught both John Morgan and Travis Bennett. I noticed this battle for third was heating up. In fact, Bennett got right back by the 177, but now as tires start to wear, Elijah Gracia working his way up. And I believe this race is about 16 minutes longer than they usually run. I believe they still run about 45-minute races. This, of course, 61 minutes in memory of John Unsbee. This is going to be an interesting one to see how this plays out, how fuel plays into this one. Again, not exactly sure how long they can go, but it looks like they can go at least 20 minutes. I dare say this will be a 2-stop race, maybe even just a 1-stopper, but only time will tell.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out, and we'll have our answer if they pit before 30 minutes. If they're pitting at that halfway mark, then it might be a stretch on a 1-stop. And maybe it is that close. I mean, we just have to wait and see. If fuel mileage comes into play, that's just another dynamic. And I mean, how easy is it to save fuel at a high-speed track? It's not at all.
No, but there are a lot of places, even with as high speed as it is here at Watkins Glen, plenty of places where you can lift a little bit early, coast, even short shifts, and man, that was close for John Morgan. Catching some grass on the exit of the carousel, Elijah Gracia trying to find a way by, but Elijah, of course, going to have to wait for the best opportunity to do so. You can't force anything when somebody's making a mistake like that. You've got to wait for them to settle their car out first. And we've seen out of the toe how easy it is to catch the grass on the outside. That could be an option. Just push them into a mistake there and make sure you lay back into the corner before anything bad happens. This is the best battle on the racetrack currently. This for third, fourth, and fifth, Bennett, Morgan, and Gracia.
Yeah, I mean, nice and tidy up the hill to come out of the boot down to turn 9, or out of 9 and down to turn 10. Again, the electric element. I mean, I was never one for yellow on a race car, but it's starting to grow on me seeing all these, all these little cars with the electric yellow on them. It looks really nice.
I noticed Spencer Ray very, very sideways. That blue car in the background, very, very sideways out of turn number 9 the last time through. He has really picked up the wick, and boy, he's really pushing right now. This number 6 is really on it. And hey, you know what? He's one of those guys that's picking up on Marcus Lemonis' challenge on Twitter to run Camping World and see if maybe he can be one of those lucky guys that get something out of it. So hey, if somebody can clip this or something, send this to Marcus Lemonis, help Spencer Ray out, sporting the Camping World colors here on his number 6 IndyPro 2000. Just about 20 minutes into the John Unsbee Memorial, and Spencer Ray, he's up to 6th after starting, 11th place this evening. Oh, a catch there. He's going to be careful on these tires, though. He's going to have to stretch them at least another 10 minutes, it's looking like. Usually these guys don't take tires. Usually the tires last them the whole race, but that may change this evening.
Yeah, a whole lot of unknowns, with a longer race to, what these guys are used to. But I mean, what kind of a story this would be for Spencer Ray to start 11th and just fight his way up to the battle that holds a podium position. If he can get up there, that is absolutely remarkable. Plus, I just want to say Nicholas Caressel, I guess, had a moment or something. He towed back to the pit lane, disconnected a few moments ago. But yeah, that leaves Caressel, Freilich, and out of the race, and Lentz did not take the green flag.
Gonna see if we can't find out what's happened here to Nicholas Caressel. This should give us a nice indication. Oh, and there it is. That's hard contact. That's out of, it looks like turn 6, isn't it? Into the boot.
Yeah, it is a very tricky corner. It's a downhill, fast sweeping left-hander, and it gets very, very narrow on that exit. And I think that might have been what caught him out.
He's pushing here. He's got that damage from earlier and is really starting to push on some old tires. Now into turn 6, and I think he just pushes some more, and he's probably, yeah, the car is compromised at this point for sure. For it to push like that, just pushes straight into the outside wall, and it looks like he's calling it quits this evening. Big problems for Nicholas Caressel. Thinning the herd just a little bit. We're down to, it looks like, 11 cars still running. The final of which is going to be none other than Justin Ford, who is giving up his tie-dye this evening for a nice yellow paint scheme.
Yeah, I mean, his car was always so noticeable, and on those SRCA broadcasts, whatever, I think it was either, I think he ran a Lego livery or that tie-dye car as well. Like, it was always so bright and vibrant, and, forking it over now for the John Unsbee electric yellow, it looks very nice, and, I mean, doing his own thing here. I mean, 11th place, it's nice to see him leg it out, even when, you aren't the fastest. You're here, especially for the good cause, and, to celebrate and remember John Unsbee. That's what it's all about, and, he's here, and he's doing his part, and he's racing these 61 minutes in his name.
And we keep talking about this electric yellow. This electric yellow came about due to a sponsorship that the Unsbee has had back in the late 60s, early 70s from Braley Electric in the, I believe it's Braley. It doesn't have a W like it would be Brawley or something. It's just B-R-A-L-E-Y, Braley Electric in Illinois. And they sponsored their quarter midgets, they sponsored their Mini Coopers later on, once they were able to get those Mini Coopers. And actually, while this isn't necessarily specific to John Unsbee, I recall a story when I was reading earlier that Randy Unsbee was so excited to get behind the wheel of a Mini Cooper and race his brother John that they actually kind of flubbed his age a little bit. You had to be 21 for a license to race in the SCCA. He was, I think, a week or so shy of that birthday, and they got him into a race because he'd already missed a few races earlier on, so they kind of faked his age a little bit by a week or so, and he also, I mean, he raced to get his license one day, and the next day he went out there and won his first race. So it certainly was worth it then for the Unsbees, and I'm sure Randy learned a lot from his brother John, who we're here honoring this evening. Again, John Unsbee, taken from us a little over a month ago on February 1st, 2021. Just over 37 minutes to go here in the John Unsbee Memorial, and oh my gosh, these guys are getting very sideways, getting very loose, starting to slide around here. We talked about it earlier on. The track temp a little bit warm. It's dropped a bit. It's dropped a few degrees from 106 to 103, but it's still difficult. And here we go. First pit stop for Daniel Falkingham.
Yeah, we had about 5 guys come in the last lap, and Falkingham's in. Well, actually, no, Paddock followed him in as well. So the top 2, they're in. And I was wondering if they're going to pit on the same lap or try to, to undercut or overcut one another. And here comes Bennett and Morgan. I think this is going to be the rest of the herd.
Yeah, and this is just shy of 20 minutes into the race. I dare say, sorry, just shy of 30, so about 25. So I think this is about the same fuel reach that the cars usually have here in the SRCA IndyPro 2000 Series. And man, was that tires or sorry, fuel only? No, they're going up on the jacks. It looks like I can't tell. I really can't tell. It's hard to say.
I mean, I'm just looking at the pit lane times, and Falkingham was only on the pit lane for 28 seconds. And I see people in the 30s. There's a couple of 29s on there as well, but that's crazy. Maybe did he underfill? Because you're gonna make a second stop anyway.
Let's see what Falkingham does here. I think you want to fill it up as much as you can this stop, maybe under a little bit. We'll see what Falkingham does if he goes up on the jacks. Doesn't look like it. Does anybody else? No, so I think these are fuel-only stops. And I think the difference is going to be the amount of fuel that you take, yeah. Well, no, look at that. The 95 up on jacks. Travis Bennett taking tires out of this pit cycle. But John Morgan did not and comes out right with him.
Interesting. I don't know the pit stop dynamic for these cars. I don't know how much time taking tires would add, but I guess if it didn't take that much time, people would do it all the time, right? But look at the lead that Falkingham has now opened up on Paddock.
Yeah, this is 7.7 seconds, 7.8 seconds, and a lot of that coming from the pit stop. It's looking like a 6-second pit stop for Daniel Falkingham, almost 12 seconds for Everett Paddock. This is incredible. The gap that Falkingham has opened up suddenly, but I wonder if that gap is going to come right back to him. I wonder if Paddock filled up entirely here to go for a long run, just like they just did from the start of this race, and if Falkingham is making a short run this run. So we could see opposite strategies from these two, and I think after the following pit stop, they may come right back to one another.
That might just be it, yeah. You don't really... I mean, I guess if you did the math, you would know, but we didn't really know how much you're going to need to take at the end. We just know you're going to make a second stop. It's obviously not full, and I think that, like you said, that is what Falkingham took now, because that is a big pit stop difference. But also, I didn't see anybody else even close to 34 seconds. There's a couple, well, there's 132 and 133, but everybody else took 30 seconds, so... I don't know if there was anything that went on his pit stop. Wow, what a moment there!
Elijah just barely keeping this car under control, taking the grass, which you don't want to do, as we've seen Cole Freilich and some others have mistakes up out of this section here, the toe at Watkins Glen. Running the boot this evening. This is a portion of the course that's often used in road course racing, but some of these guys coming from stock car routes, maybe not the best experience around the boot. Certainly, well, learning it this evening if they don't yet know it. This is a battle with 3 cars still for this is, still 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Morgan now over Bennett, even though Bennett took new tires, and Grassi here in 5th place. Tom Mercier has since moved into 6th position, as it looks like we've got a problem for Spencer Ray.
Oh, no. I just realized that I was actually keeping tabs on the battle for what is now 9th position. That just changed hands. Ian Wilson went back up, but here's the replay, and that is Daniel Falkingham. There's Spencer. Whoa, looks off the pace.
Yeah, so he had a moment, it looks like out of turn 9, or 10 rather. And, oh no, he's got problems stemming from a while back. And, he was catching that group that was battling 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Let's see what happens here to Spencer Ray. This is turn 9, heading back onto the back straightaway pretty much for the NASCAR course, and there it is, hard contact with the Arco.
No.
We saw he was kind of in a 4-wheel slide out of that corner earlier on. That time misjudges it, now goes for a spin. And based on the tendencies of these guys leaving this evening after one incident, definitely would say there's no fast repair, and it looks like problems now for Daniel Falkingham as well.
Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off there. I was just watching off my screen, and I see the 20 go round. Also, Tom Mercier had an issue coming out of the boot, but obviously Daniel Falkingham, the bigger story at the moment. Watch him come up through the toe.
A lot of replays this evening. For these road races, these time races, we don't usually use replays, and Daniel does the exact same thing as we've seen a few others do. A little bit of contact there with the left side, and it turns the race lead over to Everett Paddock. That's the biggest story, as Everett Paddock went on by right there. Losing the race lead, Daniel Falkingham giving that spot up, and likely now trying to feel out the damage, see what might be wrong with this 20 car. It looks like it's driving straight, looks like it's driving mostly okay, it looks like he should continue on fine. But the gap now, a little over 2 seconds, and likely we'll have to take a longer pit stop the next time around. This could be disaster for Daniel Falkingham as they continue to battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
This battle will never rest. I mean, in the field, they continue to drop like flies. Tom Mercier sitting on the pit lane. I can't I can't tell if it's, you know, damage that's going to end his race, but he's still saying it's at least 9 on the racetrack. And Falkingham took a spin there, but I've been watching him. He also, you know, has been getting very loose. Oh, look at this run from Travis Bennett on John Morgan to the inside. For P3 into the carousel and clears to third.
Just like Morgan passed Bennett earlier on, except Bennett very slow up out of the carousel, gives up a lot of time and the position back to John Morgan, and we'll try and do it all over again.
Yep, all that just happened in turn 5, entry and exit, scratch all
Bennett's
that.
got
Oh
problems.
No! Oh no! Yeah, that
he's
car
on
looks
new
hurt.
tires. I don't think he's had any issue. I don't think he's had any damage. I wonder if the cold tires are just a problem for him, and if hot tires was the way to go.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe he was just taking it cautious through the toe. We've seen it be a trouble spot for many others. I don't know. Maybe if it was more of an issue, maybe more of him just being cautious. But that toe's caught out a lot of people. Like Daniel Falking, I was saying earlier, he was sliding every lap through the toe. I mean, it was only a matter of time in my eyes.
I also wonder if this might come back to hurt the 95 now. Maybe the cold tire is not working so well for him, but what's going to happen in this run to the end? If these guys either do or don't take tires, or are either on cold tires later on, or even more worn tires to finish this race, and Bennett uses the tires that he's warming up now and breaking in now, I mean, the 95 could be absolutely on rails later on, and certainly clear this third place battle if things hold.
Yeah, this is, you know, really thinking what the advantage, you know, could be. Or maybe these guys, maybe they didn't take 4 fresh tires. You know, I think they have the option to, you know, select certain tires, maybe the tires that wear out more, maybe just the fronts or the rears, whatever, you know, is used more. I can't really say. You think the fronts, but I mean, there's not that many low speed corners. I guess it would only be the fronts you would change if you had to choose 2 over 4. Or
whoa, Travis Bennett! The save! That was incredible stuff, and it's going to leave these two up ahead to continue battling as Elijah Gracia bears down on the 177 of John Morgan. Boy, these cars are just out of control tonight.
I think we need a static cam down in the toe, because that's where all the action is. Yeah, side by side or something.
A lot of problems for these drivers. We'll take a look back at the weather this evening. It's down to 101. They're still sliding around. In fact, they're sliding around more now than ever. As, man, these guys are on old tires, and it's certainly showing. Morgan sideways out of the final corner that time. He'll come around to complete, it looks like, his 19th lap that time by. So, working on lap number 20, just a little past halfway. Everett Paddock, the race leader. Daniel Falkingham second place after his spin a little while ago, who had led most of the race to this point, I think the entire race, to the point of his spin. Then John Morgan and Elijah Gracia, they're still racing on the backstretch, actually. I was going to say they sort things out, but no. Gracia just now getting by Morgan, and it looks like he's got him cleared for the carousel.
This battle's just going to continue to rage on, and Elijah Gracia, I mean, you know, he didn't start as far back as, you know, Spencer Ray did before his run to the field and then his unfortunate moments. But Grassi has also been on the charge, you know, throughout this race. And right on board looking at this telemetry, let's see how he fares to the boot, because I haven't really noticed him, you know, have any slip-ups here. Looks, you know, very cautious, very stable coming out of the boot. And this very well could be one of the reasons why he's just charged straight up.
I think tire management is certainly a big deal. Of course, grip is #1 priority, I'd say, here at Watkins Glen. If you're able to utilize your grip to the best of your ability, that's going to keep mid-corner speed up, and it's going to match straightaway speed. You want to be fast as you possibly can be here at Watkins Glen. So you want to make sure you keep some grip in the race car, and that's going to require some tire management. We've seen that so far, it looks like, out of Elijah Gracia, who's driven up to the 3rd position. But now, watching on board with Morgan, it looks like Elijah's having some problems on his own.
Yeah, I don't know. Tom Mercier actually coming off the pit lane, so good to see him rejoin the race and not out of here. Several laps down, make that 4. But Yeah, we continue to watch this. There's Tom Mercier. Look at him. That red car working his way up the S's. Glad to have him stay in the event.
So over on YouTube, and I'll do the same on our Facebook chat. If you guys are watching, you know what, I'll even fire up Twitch, and I'll do the same in the Twitch chat. If you guys are watching and want to learn a little bit about the Unsbees, I'm posting a great link, a great piece put together by Randy Unsbee, brother of John Unsbee, that just details a lot of their early history in racing. And it's what I spent a lot of time this afternoon reading myself. A lot of great information in there, a lot of great stories from the Unsbees and many more. It's not just the Unsbees sharing those tales, and it's a really good read. I certainly recommend, if you're out there watching, pull it up. You don't have to watch it right now. In fact, we'd prefer that you watch the race right now, but you can check it out later on after this race. Give it a read. It's certainly a great piece.
Yeah, once again, what really strikes me is, the passion that him and his family truly had in Valkenham. Gonna go around again. Oh, big contact.
And well, there's a key binding. Yeah, there's a key binding that we always, we gamers know, if you will, that force quits any application that you're in. As soon as he saw he was going to be piled into that barrier, he hit it, and it's Alt F4. And again, as soon as he saw he was going to have that massive accident there out of turn number 10, Daniel Falkingham opting to call it quits.
Yeah, what a shame. I mean, had a lot of pace and just one mistake and another and whammo.
And that's that. I think that realistically turns the race over to the hands of Everett Paddock, who's just been so good all night long. We saw him going toe-to-toe with Falkingham through qualifying, through the early portions of this race, and now as the field continues to dwindle, we're down to 8 cars, it looks like, on the lead lap. I'm not so sure that there's anyone that can beat this 51 car, be it on pace or even a mistake or two.
Man, I mean, I know it's 61 minutes, and we don't really think 61 minutes as an endurance race, but this is a true race of attrition, and Tom Mercier had another moment down in turn 1, but look at this gap that Everett Paddock has. It is 12 seconds. He just has to really just pace himself at this point. We know he has the pace of Falkingham, and they were really just pacing and driving away from the field. So he just needs to keep the car on the track, which from the looks of it is way easier said than done. But there's no need to push in this 51 car anymore.
No, not at all. It's all smooth riding here for Everett Paddock. All he's got to do is likely come around, make one more pit stop. In fact, I believe the pit windows just opened up recently, so these guys could make their second pit stop at any point in time. And oh my gosh, just the lines these guys are running to try and save tires and try to save their race cars, I think more importantly, just absolutely insane. We've got problems, it looks like, possibly for Garnand. Maybe some connection issues, but he's rejoined us. You mentioned Tom Mercier having some problems, but he is continuing on. Here's the number 68 car. We were looking at him a little while ago. He sits in the 10th spot. He should make up some time up into 9th and pass Daniel Falkingham here shortly. Justin Ford is in the 8th position of 8 drivers still on the lead lap. He's in the final portions of the boot as well. Everett Paddock is in the toe of the boot now.
Yeah, I think the longer the race drones on, you're in the mode of you're just trying to get through it. I think everybody is if you're not in the direct battle. But of course, with bigger things on the minds of people, it should not be on the forefront of your mind. I mean, at the end of the day, these guys are all racers also, but it's a thing to balance. And again, major props to Tom Mercier with having his several mistakes, and if he had damage from whatever happened coming out of the boot, he sat on pit road, repaired it, and he's still here running this race as you continue to ride on board with John Morgan. And not to put down any of the drivers who have left the event. Sometimes there's just damage that is far beyond repair to continue, but just huge props to Tom Mercier for legging it out in this race.
Elijah Gracia trying to eke out a gap. A bit sideways out of the final corner. This will complete their 23rd lap on the circuit. 21 minutes to go. We've run 40 minutes now. Elijah Gracia in position to take second place. John Morgan for third. Everett Paddock, just the talk of the town after Daniel Falkingham has had his issues. Everett Paddock out and away to a 13-second race lead now, and everything is rather split up through the rest of the field. It's a very, very calm race at this point. We've got 20 minutes to go, and these guys just need to not make mistakes.
Yeah, not make mistakes. Again, very much easier said than done. It's easy for us to look at this and yeah, just keep the car on the track. But I mean, these guys are slipping and sliding, man. They are. Some maybe they're having a blast, but I think a lot of these guys are just hanging on these final 20 minutes. And oh my goodness, man, that entrance to the boot, I have some nightmares in that corner. It is a tough corner.
Don't worry, Emerson. I'm fully aware, as Elijah Gracia wide there in the toe, I'm fully aware that I would not make a lap in these cars on a cold racetrack the way they are. I quite simply never really figured out these cars. The SRCA usually chooses to drive. Open wheels, not really my thing. But, man, the track has really been the talk of this evening as far as the big obstacle for these guys. And obviously, usually you want to talk about racing the racetrack over racing one another, even racing yourself as opposed to racing one another. I mean, if you beat yourself, you're going to have a rough time. I think we saw that recently at the LTAC Cup Series on Friday nights, where Merrick Watchorn had a win in the bag and went off into the final corner, the final lap, and beat himself and just wheel hopped off into the corner, wrecked his car, wrecked a bunch of other cars, and I mean, he was off and away to an insured race win, and then suddenly, big problems. And again, he raced himself. He raced the racetrack a little bit too hard and crossed over that line. I think these drivers are starting to find the line themselves this evening.
Yeah, and to me, it's. I mean, again, I've driven the track. I know it's difficult, but you look at this track from the aerial view or on a piece of paper, the track map, and you're like, "What's the big deal?" But it is. It's really just the position, the elevation changes, the speed, so many different factors that makes, corners, that look very simple and very straightforward. There's a nice aerial view. That bus stop that we're not even using, that's a whole nother story. But I mean, just look at this. This is beautiful.
I will say, I think Kyle Heyer from SimTV might agree when I say it could stand to look a little bit better, but I'm sure that much looked forward to Watkins Glen update is somewhere along the line, is coming to us at some point here soon, but man, we hope it would just get here a little bit sooner as we watch from above here at Watkins Glen International. And look at this, we can go right back in and find race leader Everett Paddock across the start-finish line, passing the paddock here at Watkins Glen, and he's off into turn one. He goes purple. How about that? With no draft, Everett sets the new fastest lap of the race.
Well, so much for not pushing. Here comes Elijah Grossi into the pit lane, by the way. But so much for not pushing. My guess is that it is, the least amount of fuel he's going to have in this race, and he's getting ready to make his pit stop as, Grossi, the first one in, and we'll see. This is probably the short fuel fill to make it to the end that Falkingham was trying, and maybe Falkingham's car was too light with that lighter fuel.
Up on the jacks, tires here for Elijah Gracia. This is what could make Travis Bennett look absolutely brilliant here as the race goes on. Travis Bennett has also pitted, actually, and it's hard to say because he has the exact same pit stop length as Elijah Gracia. I wonder if Bennett took tires again, in which case I'm going to eat all of my words, and I'm not going to call Travis Bennett an idiot, but suddenly maybe not looking like the smartest guy out there. I don't want to say that. That also makes him sound like an idiot. No, I think the strategy, though, would have been to stay on those tires and hold out for this second shift on the racetrack. I think he could have had a leg up on the rest of these guys.
I mean, it's hard for me to say. I
well,
don't
we
see
know how tough cold tires are.
I was going to... Yes.
To have those tires warmed up, and it seems like he struggled on that previous stint with cold tires. I think getting the cold tires out of the way first would have really helped him here towards the end of this one. But hey, he's the one in the car. He's the one making those decisions, and he's doing what he feels is best for his race. So we'll see how it works out for him. Paddock staying on the racetrack, though.
Yeah, I mean, doing his thing. He's opened up now 16, nearly 17 seconds over John Morgan, and he's heading into the pit lane now. And I mean, I don't know if the tires are wearing out that much. I doubt it, but it maybe some of these drivers feel they just need the grip of fresh tires every stop. I can't fathom that, but that might have been what it was for Bennett.
Well, I mean, we saw
Gracia, big crash.
Big contact to the Armco barrier here at Watkins Glen for Elijah Drew Gracia, and this is going to absolutely end his day. We've seen it end so many drivers' days so far, be it corner exit of the toe, corner exit now turn 10 for Daniel Falkingham, and now Elijah Drew Gracia. Here's the problem for the 14 car out of Texas, and I'd imagine very similar. It's like a carbon copy almost of Daniel Falkingham's problem. The only difference is Elijah Gracia stays in to see how the damage looks after things.
Wow. I'm at a loss for words, man. This race is eating up everybody for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I know it's dinner time, but this track is having everybody for all 3 meals.
You know, there are a lot of good yellow foods out there. I mean, mac and cheese, corn, just cheese in general. Plenty of good yellow foods in the world. Bananas. I mean, there's an option. You could say mashed potatoes and, you know, with some butter on top might be in that range. It makes sense that this track wants to eat them up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Looks like they do have fast repairs, contrary to what we were thinking earlier. So at this point, kind of puzzling that so many drivers disconnected rather as early as they did. Elijah Gracia opting to stay in, and he's back on the racetrack.
Yeah, that really flips the script in my head to the other, you know, well, I say 5 because one driver did not take the green, but the other 4 who disconnected, you know, from damage. And I get it, you know, if you're running, you know, high up in the running order and, you know, now you're going to be a lap down at least because you're having to take a toe back, that's one thing. But I mean, think of the bigger picture and what this race means. And, you know, we're here to celebrate and remember John Unsbee, and, you know, let's, you know, run these whole 61 minutes out.
So about 13 and a half minutes left in this. Here's your race leader, Everett Paddock. Everybody, Emerson, spread out by a large margin. The closest battle, actually, is 2 lap down cars. Here they are. Down the backstretch portion of the boot into the heel. And Ian Wilson is within 2 seconds of Elijah Gracia. But based on what we've seen so far this evening, I dare say Gracia should start to gap this 58 car.
Yeah, what a night it's been. Drivers hitting the pit lane. This is 51 on the pit lane, actually, Everett Paddock.
So here we go, race leader making his final pit stop, 12 minutes to go. And I really do think that Falkingham was going to pit there soon and run a longer stint here to the end, and Paddock was going to equalize right back to him with this shorter stop for less fuel. And Paddock, even up on the jacks, so taking tires this second time around. And he'll head back out. Now, it may put these cars on the jacks just for fuel, but I didn't see Falkingham go up on the jacks, so I don't think that's the case. But hey, I could be mistaken, actually. I could be mistaken on that. It may put him up on the jacks regardless. We'll have to ask at least Everett after the race about that one. As Paddock now back on the racetrack, he's got plenty of time back to John Morgan. We've still got a few cars that need to pit, those being Garnand and Ford, and Garnand is doing so.
And Garnand's in. Yeah, I think maybe it's the abrasive track surface, along with everything else, the track temp and the speeds that are carrying through some of these tight, exits of these corners, that maybe, drivers are really, just needing tires, at these points, but
not up on the jacks here for Garnand. So yeah, I think every time we saw him go up on jacks, that was a tire stop for these drivers. And Garnand going to opt not to take tires. And let's check in with Garnand, actually. We've not talked about him a whole lot this evening. Out of the Northwest, and the number 90, he started out relatively decently, I'd say. I mean, 7th place, about mid-pack, literally just before I guess just inside the top half of drivers at the start of the race, and he's just stayed in this race, most importantly, to keep himself now in the top 5 and up to 4th position before he pitted right there anyways, and he's still holding on to 4th.
Yeah, I mean, what a run. It really has been the race of attrition, and I know he started 7th, and 4th isn't that drastic of a difference, but the battles that I say the battles he was in, but he wasn't really in the battles. He's just kind of been able to take advantage of the other drivers having issues, and good on him, to put yourself in that position.
So every battle on the racetrack starting to separate itself. We do still have Gracia and Wilson relatively close to one another, still about 2 seconds and change, almost up to 3 seconds now. There are those 2 cars that are battling 1 lap down for the 7th and 8th positions. Tom Mercier is still on the racetrack, but he is 4 laps down to the whole field, and, is riding around very quietly in 9th place right now after his issues earlier on. Everett Paddock, though, the man of the evening, the 51 car, just, you can't beat it right now. He is the fastest. Clear far and away. Just the fastest.
I think it's crazy, to really leg out the field this much in, just an hour in 1 minute. I mean, we have 9.5 minutes left, but I know there's good, but I mean, these cars, from the looks of it, tough track conditions, tough cars, and this guy, he just has it all nailed down.
Everett Paddock continuing his tear, staying ahead of the race field. And at this point, everything's quieted down. It's really hard to find too many headlines left in the field other than Everett Paddock, who had those battles earlier on with Daniel Falkingham. We can keep saying it over and over again, but quite simply, kept his car on the racetrack. It's been a treacherous evening for everybody. Everybody's been sliding around a good bit. As one car exiting the pit lane right there, it looks like that is Justin Ford in the 8th position. And you know what? After pit stops, actually, Justin Ford is back on the lead lap by this much.
Yeah, he was running. He hadn't pitted yet, but he was running up in 5th. So he's going to lay over to the leader here. I'm sure he's getting blue flagged by iRacing, and he'll file in line. But Justin Ford, very, very proud of him for sticking it out in this race. And he's just fallen a lap down in this race. 8 minutes left. A pretty good job to this point.
And let's revisit why we're here this evening. It's the John Unsbee Memorial Race for the SRCA. John Stanley Unsbee, born in 1947 on December the 27th in Illinois, and had a great racing career. Certainly dominated the late 60s and early 70s in SCCA national touring events. Just absolutely fell in love with these Mini Coopers that you see on your screen now from an early age. Younger than 20 years old, in fact, or right about there. And he knew as soon as he saw, in fact, it would have been 20 years old, because he saw those cars for the first time in 1967 in a support race at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, as it's now known, Mosport back in the day. And just ever since, knew that he needed to get into a Mini Cooper, knew that he needed to go race a Mini Cooper. He did exactly that, Emerson. And, man, the domination that the Unsbee family put on SCCA, at least in their class in those years, man. Between he and his brother Randy putting together tons and tons of wins and putting together quite the racing resume. And unfortunately, John Stanley Unsbee passed away February 1st, 2021. And that brings us to this evening. We've had a few memorial races across the service, the iRacing.com service, that is. He was an avid iRacer. He wasn't just a racer back in the 60s and 70s. He wasn't just a racer from way back when. He was an avid iRacer featuring, plenty of 60 and over or 50 and over iRacing leagues. In fact, I think when he joined iRacing, he was over 60 years old. Yeah, thereabouts. Right when iRacing started, he was already 60. So, certainly fit right in from that point in time, and he was even a member here of the SRCA, Sim Racers Club of America, and we certainly lift this one up to John Unsbee, the Unsbee family, And this evening, we remember John Stanley Unsbee here in the SRCA John Unsbee Memorial Race at Watkins Glen. Everett Paddock still leading the way by quite a healthy margin over John Morgan and the rest of the field. A little over 5 minutes to go here at Emerson Arden. The field entirely spread out. There's a few cars towards the back that are starting to get close to one another, but right now, no fights on the racetrack here at Watkins Glen. Not a single fight on this 3.4 mile race course. It's certainly been a quieter evening since Daniel Falkingham's departure specifically, and then, Elijah Gracia having his problems out of turn number 10 as well. And I think the biggest issue, obviously, has been the racetrack for these guys. Certainly a very tough racetrack, which you don't usually think of Watkins Glen being one of those racetracks that just punishes drivers, but this evening it has been, and catching a lot of drivers off guard. And we've talked about weather this evening, how hot the track was to start out. It was over 100 degrees. In fact, it was 100 and, I want to say 6 or so when we started, then to 103, then to 101. Now under 100, it's at 97 degrees Fahrenheit. It's cooling down, but these worn tires are not gripping back up.
If it wasn't for, the dramatic exits out of turn 10 that has, taken Falkingham and has put, I think, Gracia, not even down and out because Gracia's still on the lead lap, but, down to 6th place, I'd say it really is the boot because, we've seen all the problems in the toe and coming out of the boot. But, this track, without the boot, I say this all the time. It's a Popeye's biscuit away from being an oval, but literally, it's so close to being an oval without that boot. You add the boot to this track, and this track is a whole different animal. As these drivers, have proved, it is tough. It is tough. And Travis Bennett is back on pit lane.
Travis Bennett, this is an unscheduled stop here for the 95 car. Tons and tons of damage. I think that would explain the trip down the pit lane then, and oh boy, this is going to happen. This is just the far side of the boot, but this isn't quite to turn 10. Let's see what happens to the 95 car here of Travis Bennett. Again, this is out of turn number 9, just the far side of the boot. Does he just get loose here? Oh, you know what? He pushed out a bit like Spencer Ray, caught the grass, spun it to the Armco, and that's really hard contact.
Wow. I'm not saying he's out of the race. This is crazy, the amount of cars this track has taken. There is, I think, only 6 clean cars out there, 6 cars that have not been involved in an incident. And yeah, it's a blind, uphill and a corner that's pretty important to your life because you got to set yourself up nicely for 10 and 11. That's a nice little left-right complex right there. But, man, it's tough. That's where the car's the lightest because you just crest over that hill. And so many factors. Once again, big impact off of turn number 9.
Let's see if we can take a look overhead here for Bennett. And this will give us a decent look once more at the impact. Man, that is a tough one. And you can see all the damage to that 95 car. And that's it for Travis Bennett. That is going to end his evening. He might get back on the racetrack, but certainly not with an opportunity to fight for a podium position like he once was. And man, that is so tough. In fact, he was on a podium position when that incident happened, and suddenly that has been removed from grasp. Now there he is behind race leader Everett Paddock. Now 1 lap down is Travis Bennett with under a minute and a half to go. 80 seconds to go in this one.
Yeah, what a race. I'd say at this rate, if we had, a few more minutes, and around goes Bennett. just to make matters worse.
I heard it off in the distance just a little bit. Let's take a look back here for the 95 car once more. As soon as he gets back onto the racetrack, man, he's around again, this time in the toe. A corner we've seen catch several drivers out. Here's the problem for him. On exit, just breaks loose.
Yeah, I believe he used that special keybind we were talking about earlier as well. That's, man, so close to the end. Paddock is coming around to the final corner. He's going to start, the final lap here. 35 seconds left. And again, what a race. Major props to the guys that are still running and have made it through incident-free, and major props to the guys that, have not made it incident-free but are still here.
And this has not necessarily been the most exciting, and I don't say that in a bad way. This has been very spread out. It's been up to the drivers to stay in this one, and I don't think we've seen a single issue here out of Everett Paddock. He's kept that car straight the entire race, and that's why he's 30 seconds ahead of John Morgan. John Morgan even had a problem up out of the toe so many laps ago. So it really has just come down to keeping that car moving in the right direction, keeping it in one piece, and staying in this race.
Yeah, I said it earlier, but once again, it's just remarkable to leg the field at a track that it seems like everybody's just had trouble with, and this car isn't as easy as it looks. It's light and it's small, but man, it packs a punch when you get it wrong. And I mean, it's just truly remarkable and admirable, the job that Everett Paddock has done today, and the John Unsbee Memorial Race. 61 minutes down and wrapping up this final lap after a great showing, great performance for this number 51 car.
Through the final 3 corners now for Everett Paddock and the rest of the field. He's coming around. This would be to lap, it looks like, Ian Wilson if he can catch him. I don't think he's quite going to do so. And out of the final couple of corners, Everett Paddock is going to emerge the race winner of the John Unsbee Memorial here in the SRCA IndyPro 2000 Series. A big race.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great event that was coordinated, and very very thankful once again for the opportunity to showcase and really respect and get the chance to appreciate a little bit, just a little bit, because never in the presence of him, but to appreciate a little bit of what John Unsbee has done, whether iRacing or motorsport. It not only has been a great broadcast, but a great learning experience for me, and wish I could have met a person like this.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
We'll fix this. We had a bit of an audio hiccup there, but nonetheless, welcome back to Watkins Glen International. The audio's fixed, and we rejoin you for the conclusion to the broadcast here of the SRCA Pro 2000 Series John Unsbee Memorial at Watkins Glen International. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for watching through that 61-minute race, and obviously 61 minutes to honor John Unsbee, who ran the number 61. You can see his Mini Cooper and a couple of pictures there along with his racing number on the bottom right. I want to thank Spencer Ray for the help with that decal, and I want to thank Mini Mania for providing a lot of these pictures. Great pictures of John Unsbee's career, and certainly gave us a lot of information to go off of based on John's own accounts and his stories, his brother Randy's accounts and stories, and a lot to go off of, a lot to talk about this evening to remember John Unsbee, who we lost on February 1st. That said, we unfortunately don't have race winner Everett Paddock to speak with this evening. It looks like Everett not in the team speak, but hey, we do still get a couple of drivers to speak with Emerson, and those being a couple of drivers, and actually one of them made some big noises here, I'd say, in Elijah Grassi especially, and we'll bring Elijah in. And Elijah, you ran a great race this evening. Unfortunately, it came down to turn number 10 a little while after Daniel had his problems, and turn 10 certainly rather tough, it seems.
Yeah, it was kind of iffy there occasionally, and that was when I was right on new tires, so I just lost it there and hit the wall and then towed and then got back out there since it was the faster pair, so.
Yeah, so we of course saw a lot of drivers, meet their match pretty much with this speedway and opt to, depart this evening. What was different for you? What inspired you to stay out there and keep racing?
Just a memory of John, so, I mean, he would keep doing it if he got damaged and finished the race, so just doing it for him, so.
I think that's definitely a great reason. That's the answer we were looking for there, Elijah. Of course, you spearheading everything here in SRCA. Tell us what it meant to have John around as a league member and how it's stung ever since.
Well, ever since he came, and even since season 1, he's always been a great, respectful driver. And he's always been caring, he'll give you the room, but he'll also race everybody with respect. And looking back, even on his real racing career, he was a pretty good racer, so But it's a shame that he's gone. But yeah, we chose this track combination because it's actually where he won at the first time in the series. He got the pole, and then he won the race in season 1. So that's why we chose the track combination. Obviously, it was in the old Pro Mazda, but this one's a little more fun. So.
And hey, Emerson was even kind of speculating as to the possibilities behind the track choice. We love that information here, and certainly I think a great place to have this event. Elijah, a lot going on here in SRCA. I know we don't really cover SRCA all that often anymore, but hey, it was really good to have a nice little reunion this evening, especially for such a great cause. Tell us about what's going on in SRCA. Tell us where everybody watching might be able to find SRCA and race with you guys on a weekly basis.
You can find us on Facebook, and then also under iRacing. We have a couple different leagues at the moment. The IndyPro Series, which will be starting back up in the summertime. And we also have an ARCA Series on Wednesday. Races every week. And then on Thursdays, it fluctuates between the IndyCar Series and the Pro Mazda Series, which is just on ovals because it puts on some pretty good racing. So at the moment, that's all we have for SRCA.
So there you go. If you're looking to join in on the fun, give these guys a couple of more cars to work with. Check out SRCA on Facebook. Get into one of their series. Elijah, thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for putting on this event. Who do you have to thank? Who do you have to shout out?
Definitely you guys for the short notice, and then people that came out in his honor. So, and I see some of the people actually put on the paint schemes as well. So that was pretty neat to see.
It definitely was pretty cool to see you guys all sporting that number, well, not the 61, but the electric yellow, as it was called there, that he ran through, I think, the better part, if not all of his career, through quarter midgets, up through Mini Coopers, and so on and so forth. Really cool to see all of the yellow paint schemes out there. Elijah, thank you so much for having us around. Thank you so much for putting this event on in the first place. We'll be talking with you, I'm sure, down the road.
Alrighty.
Elijah Drew Gracia finishing the evening in the 5th position. Not necessarily the result that he wanted, but certainly, I think, put on a great race, put on some great battles earlier on in the race, and gave us a lot to talk about. One guy that just kind of lurked around back there, though, also sporting one of the electric yellow Pro or Indy Pro 2000s this evening, Justin Ford. We've talked to him a lot before. Emerson, I'll hand him your way.
Yes, sir. And not only is he our 7th place finisher, he's also, our biggest mover. Came in. He only finished 1 lap down, but he stuck it out the entire race. Justin Ford. First of all, how were the sights of Watkins Glen?
The sights were beautiful as usual. It was a fun race, and it was a good time out there.
Right. I love the positivity and the enthusiasm. I think we need more of that. When it comes to this, sim racing, because it's so competitive, and people, sometimes lose sight of, the happiness that this kind of thing brings. But someone who truly was, I hope they were at least happy was when they came across their passion of motorsports and sim racing was John Unsbee. What does John Unsbee mean to you when doing this race? What does that mean to you?
Where he's been doing a lot of motorsport racing forever with the SCCA and all that. It's pretty admirable, and something I like to do and like to do more of. So I think that's pretty admirable and something that we should all look to do more of, because it's better to do it on a racetrack than a road. So, this race was fun, and it's awesome to be able to do something like this in someone's memory. And hopefully when I die eventually, you guys can do this for me.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something? I can already see that event now. Talking about
lots of tie-dye. If everyone's in tie-dye,
yes.
I'll be happy.
Yes, I was talking about that earlier. Andrew had brought up that livery, and I could always recall, those vibrant colors. It was not hard to spot you on the track. Speaking of spotting you on the track and running not everybody, but a lot of people running that electric yellow scheme, the race itself was tough. It was the race of attrition, for sure. What did you see from your point of view that was maybe causing these drivers, get caught up in some trouble, or that was really catching these drivers out tonight?
I think the car was a little slick to handle every now and then, and once it kind of went, there was either a very fine limit. Once it went past that, there wasn't really much catching it, and I noticed that in practice, so I figured I was going to kind of just back it down and try and survive to the end, so I could at least put on somewhat of a show, even though it's out back a lap down. Hey,
you ended up did put on a show. Whether you got there by whatever the means were. You started 13th, you ended up 7th. I think that says a lot about you and your demeanor when it comes to the sim racing. So who makes it happen for you? Who do you have to shout out? And what's coming across your mind?
Well, I want to shout out you guys for doing this, 'cause it's really awesome to do this, especially the memorial for John. I'd like to shout out to him, rest in peace. Awesome dude. And Elijah for putting this on. That's really awesome. And that's pretty much it, man. I just come here to have fun every day, and it's fun to do this stuff, and it's even cooler to be interviewed by you guys. So thanks for doing this.
Yes, sir, for sure. It was again a great event to cover, and very fun to see you stick it out and get that 7th place finish. So good on you. Congratulations on the 7th place finish. And again, hopefully we're talking to you in the future at some point.
Definitely. Thanks, man.
Justin Ford coming home this evening with that 7th place finish. Certainly would have liked to have finished a bit further north, but had a very clean race back there. I can't think of many times we were talking about him in trouble. As much as we were talking about other drivers, unfortunately, having issues and getting caught up here at Watkins Glen. We'll take a look down our race results this evening. Here we go. 14 cars. This is how they finished. Everett Paddock with that race win. Over 30 seconds to John Morgan. Another 36, it looks like, back to Thomas Garnon. No, I think that's 46 back to Thomas Garnon from Morgan. Then Jason Padu in the... did he actually sneak through? Wow, we didn't... I don't think we said his name the entire race under green flag conditions. In 4th place. How about that from Jason? Manages that 4th place spot by just over a little bit over Elijah Gracia. What do you say we try and take a look back at that momentarily? Ian Wilson, he came through and he finished 6th. Then Justin Ford 7th. Travis Bennett 8th. Thomas Mercier 9th. And Daniel Falkingham 10th. A few guys back here. One of them did not start. That was Alejandro Lintz. But Spencer Ray, Nicholas Caressel, Cole Freilich all having problems. Emerson, I really want to see what might have gone on here with Elijah Gracia. I had not realized they'd finished so closely, and now I feel like we've got to know.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, we know Elijah was got into his accident, had to tow back, and maybe with the faster period, the fresh tires on the car, he just had said, okay, there's this many minutes left in the race, got to chase him down. And riding on board, I mean, look at him. He's just barely having to keep this thing straight through the S's. That's great. You saw the car dancing around through turn 3, but down the back straightaway. Let's see how this happens. It looked like a huge run, huge slipstream run on the 64 of Jason Padu.
I believe this is quite possibly the final lap of racing that we're watching on this replay. And here's Jason's turn 6 into the boot. This is going to be a fantastic finish, it looks like. This completely flew under our radar, and Elijah Gracia, he's trying to come back up through, and as you mentioned, Emerson, trying to redeem himself a little bit after an earlier mistake in turn number 10. This one flew under our radar. This is some action we've got to look back at, and we've got to find out how it all played out to the finish. I mean, the gap was just 2/10 by the time they got around to the start-finish. I dare say this was the white flag lap for these two, and we'll see how it all culminates in the final couple of corners.
Yeah, I think this was just Gracia just pretty much outpacing Padu, but not enough to snag 4th. Just trying to get up there, and it's a little too late through turn 11. He was there, just he needed some more time.
Oh, so close. And that was it. Elijah Gracia did not quite get that 4th position. But, hey, it's a fun run. It's a run to remember a member of this league, John Unsbee, who, again, had a fantastic racing career in the SCCA national tours back in the late 60s and early 70s. He started his racing career in quarter midgets and helped definitely the popularity grow in the Midwest, specifically in Illinois, Indiana, that area, and certainly a storied career for John Unsbee. Fell in love with Mini Cooper racing from the time that he saw it at Mosport in 1967, continued loving minis all through his life, and unfortunately passed away earlier on in 2021 on February 1st. Just want to once more celebrate his life and send our condolences to the entire Unsbee family and thank them for such a great guy. John Unsbee Again, even a member of the SRCA way back when, got his first win here at Watkins Glen, so we came back to Watkins Glen this evening, and certainly a great way to wrap things up. As we wrap up the evening, that does conclude our coverage tonight of the SRCA John Unsbee Memorial at Watkins Glen International. And PitStop TV, thanks you for joining us for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. PitStop TV stays active weekly, and you can catch a variety of racing throughout the coming days. On the far side of the weekend, we rejoin Cross Series League Racing for their 7th round of their season as they begin a 2-week run with the 360 Dart Sprint Cars at Eldora and USA, respectively. Monday, we run the rounds once more with our weekly schedule, first with Monday night BRP iRacing Series action from Fairbury American Legion Speedway, then with a Tuesday evening finale for the Operation E Motorsport iRacing League presented by Recaro. Wednesday continues the championship crowning theme as the Bluegrass iRacing Series rejoins us, this time from the Sonoran Desert in Arizona at Avondale's Phoenix Raceway in the second of 2 season finales that we get to watch, get to call, get to present next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you tune in here on PitStop TV by going to www.facebook.com/PitStop TV. Over on Twitter, maybe at PitStop TV _. We've got Twitch at www.twitch.tv. www.twitch.tv. There we go. /pit_stop_TV. And we even, of course, have YouTube where you can go and subscribe and catch all of our broadcasts at www.youtube.com/c/PitStopTV1. Boy, that was a mouthful. For all of PitStop TV, though, it's been such an honor to be here for the John Unsbee Memorial. It's certainly an honor to have been here with the SRCA and celebrate such a great man. This has been Emerson Arden alongside me with the call this evening. Trey Shuttlesworth on our social media. Myself, Andrew Cardinale IV, on production and commentary. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night.